Hello again. This is entry number 2. It's currently 10th of February in the year 2024. My voice, maybe as you can tell, sounds a bit nasally since I'm a little sick. I think I got the flu. Uh, but anyways, it's currently Chinese New Year's, and I am here in Taipei, Taiwan. Not in my own hometown, unfortunately. But I don't really mind that much. I just went back from my trip to Vietnam around 2 weeks ago. That was very much an amazing experience. Met a lot of people from a lot of countries and talked to them and got to experience trekking in the villages, the minority villages in Sapa, which is a small town located north northwest of of Hanoi. Overall, a really good experience, I would say. And the most important takeaway would be that I had a fresh perspective coming back here to Taiwan. I came back here with more of the mindset of a foreigner, just like how it was, how I felt in Vietnam. Since uh, for the most time I spent here in Taiwan, I've always felt the pressure to be able to speak Chinese and to be able to converse fluently in Chinese. Given the fact that I look Chinese and I am Chinese, ethnically Chinese, not my nationality. So people would expect me to be able to speak Chinese, and I just feel bad if I disappoint them by not speaking or speaking badly. And so I've always had that fear of being judged as like a Chinese person who isn't able to speak Chinese. I feel like it's I feel like I should be able to because just because I look. I mean, I am a Chinese blood, and so I have that kind of. I've set that expectation for myself, and it's not just. I don't think it even is an external thing. It's just me, I think, and so that's why it kind of got better when I went back from Vietnam, because in Vietnam there were a couple times that they actually thought that I was Vietnamese because like Vietnamese Chinese they're kind of similar. I mean, most of the Vietnamese people came from China, so ancient China, so they have that Chinese look to them, and I am Chinese, so had a couple times where they thought I was they thought I'm Vietnamese, and I didn't really take any pressure to that since I'm not Vietnamese, I'm Indonesian, and so that that kind of mindset, that kind of attitude, I think it should be applied to my my life here in Taiwan. I'm not Taiwanese. I'm not Chinese. I'm Indonesian. I grew up in Indonesia for before I came here to Taiwan. I for all 17 wait 18 yeah 18 years I've lived in and grew up in Indonesia with Indonesian parents, although they're of course, although they're Chinese. Indonesian parents, Indonesian speaking parents, um, and Javanese because we use a lot of Javanese in my city. So yeah, I grew up with that kind of environment where we didn't really speak Chinese at all, actually. So like it would make sense if I don't speak Chinese. But of course I should make efforts to speak Chinese. Um, just off of the fact that I'm here in Taiwan, not regardless of being uh ethnically Chinese. I should make efforts since I'm in another country where they speak another language, their own language, and so I should, and at least that should be the more of the main reason of learning Chinese. It's that, and of course that would be my own personal reasons. Like I would it would be beneficial for me to be able to speak Chinese, not only for conversing with Taiwanese people, but for my own future career. Definitely, but yeah, looking at it that way, it gives you less anxiety and less pressure to perform in a way, because you shouldn't really view it as like an exam, like a performance where you should where you're scored at the end of the interaction. It's just an interaction. It's just part of living is making mistakes. That's kind of the thing that I fear the most, is like making mistakes and make myself look stupid. That's like the thing, and I should be able to realize that people make mistakes, and that's just how it is, and that's how you grow, and that's how you learn, is by making mistakes, and then having constant effort to fix them and to learn more. And yeah, that would be a lot better attitude, a lot of a better attitude, rather than pretending that I'm somehow like an actual Chinese person, in a way that grew up in China with Chinese speaking environment, but I didn't. So that those are just the facts. That's just how it is. But I kind of that's the thing with music. I always want to put myself out there, looking like I know what I'm doing. like like I'm somehow above everybody else, but I'm not, and I think that I shouldn't be like that. Um, since probably most of my anxiety comes from the fact that I have such an inflated ego. I think I'm above everybody else. I think that I know more than them, and somehow I'm morally superior. But who at the end of the day, who knows? Like, who the hell knows? And probably who the hell cares? Who the hell cares? No one cares. We're just here, living, existing. We just want to go about our own days, uh, go about our own businesses, and there's that. I think for most of us, so I don't think I should worry about that, and I think anyone should. Well, it depends. It depends on your goals, but mostly, we're worrying. There's nothing. It doesn't really do anything. Like when you worry, it's like, all right, you do come up with these hypothetical scenarios, but it's more so like how you react to them. Um, Say if like the worst case scenario pops up, like multiple worst case scenarios pop up in your mind, and it's up to you to then decide how you would react to that, how you would process that information, like, and then worrying is like the second step. Like, if you already experienced that kind of, yeah, if you already are in that first step, then it's a lot better for you and a lot more productive to throw it away if it's not probable, or like analyze it. Like, okay, is this actually probable? Is like what is it gonna do if it does happen? Like, what are the consequences for me? And if it's not like significantly threatening, if it doesn't make sense, then just throw it away. See, like you don't need to worry. But of course, it's easier said than done. You here and there, you'd always feel you would feel some anxiety and worry. But just taking that extra step of looking looking at it in a different perspective, or just analyzing it in a more rational way and a more a clear-minded way. I think it would really help. It would really help. And I think it's the best thing to do is just to put yourself out there, to really just get out of your comfort zone, just force yourself out of your comfort zone, and actually feel the the pain at first. You like no, it's more like you you have to willingly take the risk of that of that which you fear actually happen to you. If it does, it's like, all right, fine, then you're right. Like, it could happen, but most likely it won't happen, and you would learn that those are just thoughts, and it's probably not what's gonna actually happen. So there's that. Like, I've actually experienced that multiple times, and uh, I think I should constantly remind myself of that fact too. That a lot of my worries, a lot of my anxiety, are just hypothetical scenarios that don't actually occur in real life. And so there's that. There's that. But of course, it's all a journey. It's all a process. It's never something that's just instant. You, like, one therapy session, one session of like thinking about this kind of having this kind of plan won't just immediately fix your problems. You have to actually go through it, and again, you have to, I think, yeah, put yourself out there and willingly go out of your comfort zone. As bad as it may seem, like, if you do actually want to fix the problem, if you do see this as a very distressing problem in your life, then I urge you to take the step. To take the step. The steps are necessary, because then how would you grow if you don't, you know if you yourself don't put out any effort to reach that kind of goal. Of course, coming from the perspective of someone who reads a good amount of philosophy, this the question of free will would pop pop out. Like, well, you could just use an excuse like, oh, we don't really have free will, and we're not really we don't really have true control of what we're doing. I mean, true control, yes, true control. What you mean by that? Like, in absolute terms, we would never know. We would just never know. I feel like in Kantian terms, that I think he did also, like, categorize free will in noumenal. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Again, it's in the noumenal. It doesn't matter. Like, when you're talking about absolutes, it doesn't really matter. Like, it won't affect you. It won't affect you, since, like, yeah, yeah, like, it's just a truth statement. It's just a truth statement. Like, it won't matter. Just like how everything is meaningless. Like, everything has no objective meaning. It's just a matter of fact. It's a matter of fact. What you need to do is then care about what's in the immediate, and not use that as something to justify, you know, other actions. Justify your actions of not doing something, or doing something that you yourself think is is bad. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, uh, I think each, well, not each, but like, well, most of us, like 99, I guess 98%. I don't know what the exact percentage is, but we all have moral compasses. We all have kind of a built-in sense, right or wrong, and I think we should truly listen to that. Listen to what our hearts what our hearts say. And it's not a clear cut thing, because we have impulses as well. But you would feel it if you're doing something and you feel that it's wrong. Like, then be what I'm saying is, be honest to that. Be honest to that. Like, even if it doesn't make sense, even like, oh, if I do this, like, will something bad happen to me? Like, if I do this kind of minor bad thing that I actually genuinely feel bad about, genuinely feel like it's a wrong thing to do, and something wrong will happen to me in the future, or something like that, like some karma shit or something like that. Like, if you look at it in a scientific standpoint, it doesn't make sense. But the more important point is that uh, it's it matters to you. It comes from a place that you can't, that I don't think you can truly control. Like, it's just like the innate sort of moral compass that you have, and if you were to not listen to that, and just do whatever your impulses say, I don't think that leads to any good. Um, yeah, and be honest to yourself. Be honest to yourself. Again, be not just be honest to your moral compass, but be honest to your thoughts too. If you think that something has a possibility, you're aware that something has a possibility of going wrong, or going sideways, or going the ways that you don't want it to go, then if you decided to actually do it, then just accept the consequences. Accept the consequences. And the more important thing is, if you weren't initially aware of the consequences, and something unexpected happens, and it happens to be something that's bad, then don't 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 judge yourself because of it. Don't uh, don't put that guilt on yourself because you didn't know. Like, honestly, you did not know. You did not know. And if it did happen, and you know it's bad, then learn from that. Learn from that. Don't repeat the same mistakes. That'd be stupid. That'd be stupid. That would be something that's being not honest to yourself. Well, of course, if you're not aware of it again, then yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's something wrong with you. No, but like, most of us would of course be aware of the consequences again. If that similar scenario were to happen again, then you would now have that consideration for that consequence. And so, just be honest with your expectations. Be honest with the things you think might go wrong, and just accept it. If it happens, then just you have to accept it. There's no other way. Yeah, but the thing with me is that as much as I'm I sound uh I sound someone with very deep convictions about things, having very deep convictions about things. Often I feel like I have to step back a bit and be more neutral towards basically everything, I think. But then when I think about it, it's like, we grow, we learn that some things are probably truer than others. Based on experience, based on reason, based on a lot of things that we factor in. And to imagine that someone would constantly live in that kind of undecided undecided moral guide, or any guide, any philosophy of life, of living life, is something that's scary, because then you would have no proper grounds if you were to do it uh ideally, as in maximally, as in you would go Descartes on everything until the end of your life. You would just be skeptical of everything. You would lay no grounds whatsoever. That's a scary thing to me. That's But the one thing that I think about that is that it might be necessary. That the fact that that might be necessary for someone like me, for someone who values logic and reason a lot. That's a pretty scary thing to think about. But I think it's worth to explore. Since who knows that might be a way, and it actually might not be frightening at all. But in a way, we are stuck in this mode, this human mode of having at least some grounds. Just the human mode itself is a ground, and in that way, well, a lot of philosophers have also talked about this. Well, Kant, for one, uh, acknowledged the fact that we, as humans, are limited to our human cognition. We can't escape our human way of thinking, our human way of processing things. And so that, in a way, is already a substantial amount of ground, of foundation in the way we think, hence the things that we believe, that we end up using as our foundation to process things in the world, and think about things and act the way we do. Yeah, but I might need to think more about that. But yeah, like, it's an undeniable fact that we we eventually end up with some kind of ground anyways. Otherwise we would be sane. Like, I wouldn't be able to begin to discuss about any matters productively if I don't even have any grounds, right? So the thing that I'm talking about, what I mean is that for this character, this ideal skeptic, I would call it, I guess, that I mentioned before, that would spend their whole life uh, applying that Cartesian way of being skeptical about everything, like doubting everything. Even that, you would have to have some sort of method, some sort of means to be able to perform that, and to be able to know that you're you're reaching something, is that that there would be at least something for your thoughts to be derived from. And it's impossible for you to actually get to the source itself and kind of step back from everything and perceive things that way. Because again, I think this is how Kant kind of fixed in a way or completed that theory that Descartes was missing, was the key piece that he was missing. I think Nietzsche saw this too. Was that, yeah, we're bound by our humanness. We're all too human, and a lot of the times I think that I see with the world now. Not the world, but specifically, I think my generation is that a lot of us have this kind of ego and this kind of this kind of want to transcend our humanness basically, and we act as if we're God. We act as if we're God, and we know all of, and we want to, not act as God. We want to be God. We want to be God. I think that's the right way of putting it. We're striving to be God, and I think in a way, given the fact and all the works put out by philosophers like Nietzsche and Kant about this specific matter, I think it's a bit delusional that people would strive to be God and kind of step back from everything and intellectualize everything and kind of try to understand things from that standpoint. And I think that's why phenomenology was born. Was that we eventually realized that we've reached the limits of human, well, not in actuality, but at least in theory and logic and in reason, we've concluded that there is obviously a limit to our cognition or our ability to know things. Um, yeah, but like they did acknowledge the cool thing about humans is that we're able to conceive of things that are outside of our cognition, that don't even exist right now. That's another very interesting thing that I would like to mention, but I haven't really delved into any uh, literature or any of the philosophers' works that specifically deal with the fact that we're able to seemingly create these things that are outside of our our reality of our reality. Yes, but I think they did talk about that. I think Descartes did also talk about that, and I think he used that kind of argument to be able to build the bridge between God and in reality. I mean, sorry, of our consciousness and reality, of our consciousness and reality, because then he would, as people would say, he would paint himself into a corner where he could not bridge the gap between I know therefore I am and the reality. He could not bridge the gap between he know that he exists, just his pure consciousness, and whether that consciousness actually exists in this reality. And I think he used that kind of argument that I mentioned before to bridge the gap. As far as I know, I mean, a lot of stuff that I'm talking about, a lot of the information I took from this course that I enrolled in last 2 semesters in National Taiwan University. I took a course in philosophy and English, or something like that, which is basically like basic Western philosophy, and they sprinkled in metaphor theory, which was very interesting. I actually didn't expect metaphor theory to be quite interesting to me. Yeah, I was actually engaged in a lot of the things that they were talking about when discussing about metaphor theory. But I won't get into that right now. But yeah, that's one of the things that usually goes through my mind when I'm just alone, when I'm just kind of yeah, alone, or whenever there is something that inspires me to think. And it would depend. I would usually like I would sometimes think just kind of a bit. I won't really get into the deeper things. But I think oftentimes I would, because that's kind of just my tendency, and I would want to know. I would kind of want to check my thinking and check my facts. Just kind of do a quick Google or ask ChatGPT whether my logic is sound. Yeah, just to have those kind of extra steps to just review my thoughts and their facticity. But a lot of people say that stuff doesn't really have any practical use, and though that may be right, I might use kind of a circular argument here, but with philosophy is that according to philosophy, philosophy is important. Well, but yeah, in philosophy you would have like phenomenology, you'd have these branches of philosophy that yeah, but that's the thing though. Like philosophy is pretty wide. Is pretty broad. You have branches of philosophy that even they would they would be derived to become the subjects that people are studying right now in school. You know, like a lot of it I think came from the works of philosophers, like how Aristotle he's basically the father of biology. I think like he started the whole being interested in plants and shit. And he would kind of dissect the plants, and he would classify plants and classify animals too, but I think he was more into plants, I'm not sure. But yeah, like he was very much of a keeper of information. Information, I don't know how I'd put it. He's more like the first Da Vinci. I think he's kind of Da Vinci in a way, or maybe Da Vinci is Aristotle in a way, or vice versa. I don't know, but yeah, he was kind of he was a philosopher. He was also a scientist, and I think he was the father of the scientific method. He basically came up with the scientific method. It was Aristotle. Socrates. He came up with the Socratic method, which is basically just question, question, and question. Just keep on questioning when you find a problem. Just keep on questioning, keep on thinking about the possibilities, and you would eventually find a solution from that. Because by questioning, have you have the first step to understanding. You have to do the question, and then look at the facts, look at the information, process that, and you would eventually find a solution. And that's basically how science and engineering works. Since I'm majoring in mechanical engineering, I know that for a fact. Yeah, Socrates, Aristotle, Plato. I guess Plato is more of a philosopher. I guess just pure philosopher. Um, Descartes, yeah, he had huge contributions, of course, major contributions to mathematics. He created, literally, the Cartesian graph, the Cartesian, what do you call that? The Cartesian plot plot. Is it called the Cartesian plot? What's ah man, I feel really embarrassed right now. I forgot the exact term. The Cartesian diagram. Yeah, that the XY. He made that. It's literally named based on it's literally his name on it. Has his name on it. And Bertrand Russell, he wrote Principia Mathematica, which is a proof of fundamental logic in mathematics. The fundamental logic of mathematics. That is what Principia Mathematica is about. Is it was just it was just skeptical about all this stuff. I actually studied about this a little bit. I would like to share about that. Um, I wrote this paper on Gödel. Gödel was wait, was he Swiss? Was he Polish? Was he where's he from again? Oh man, how can I forget? He is from Czech, right? From what would now be uh Czechoslovakia, or Czech Republic. He was born in Czechia. Uh, so he was a Czech uh, mathematician, or more so logician, and he basically wrote a I think it was a book. Not sure. Forgot. Oh man, I forgot. I wrote a paper about it. But the key takeaway from that is that he basically proved that there are this is very oversimplified. This is oversimplified, like at 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 worst. Uh, Sorry, oversimplified at best. Oversimplified at best. But basically, kind of what he was saying is that there are gaps in logic. So what you can take away from that is that even logic itself has holes in it. Even like the theory of logic, or just logic itself, it can kind of it has statements where it can be true, but it doesn't have any proof. It's something along those lines. Again, I wrote a paper, but it's kind of complex stuff. So I don't really use it in my daily life. So I don't really remember the details. But that's kind of what he was talking about, and that kind of changed a lot of things in mathematics. The fact that that mathematics could be wrong, that kind of worried Russell. And so Russell, with this one other guy, I forgot his name. Oh man. They wrote Principia, yeah, Principia Mathematica. I think that's in Latin, and they wrote it to just be sure that there wasn't anything wrong with fundamental mathematics. So they had to write like extensive proofs of everything, even 1 plus 1. Like even as simple as that, there would be the whole kind of very basic structure of reasoning is all laid out in the book, so that if you were to really scrutinize addition, like basic addition, basic uh, multiplication, basic division, and all of those basic elementary uh, mathematical, what do you call that? Mathematical building blocks. Then it's all in the book. It's all, you can just open the book, and if you're smart enough and you have enough time to kill, then go read the book. If you still doubt, those things, yeah. And so yeah, he was also a philosopher. He was also a philosopher. So a lot of these, the smart people out of a lot of stuff that would later be developed into virtually all knowledge that we have now in education and academia and in literature and everything. I think. Well, maybe not in literature, but more of the hard sciences. I feel like um, a lot of them coincide with works of philosophers, and so that's my argument. That at least at the least some of what made the world as we know it right now today work, some of the things that we appreciate, that we take for granted, came from philosophers. Yes, philosophers. So essentially, I think they're just thinkers. They think a lot and they think deeply, and I think that's what makes us human. Is our ability to have rationale, to use our reasoning, to reason. I think that's a uniquely human thing. No other living creature on this planet as we know it have the level of consciousness that we do and the level of reason that we do. That's just a matter of definition, I think. And so I think philosophers are in a way kind of the base mode of humans. Like what if you were to ask a question like, oh, what makes a human? Like what sets them apart? What's how do you dis how do you distinguish a human from the other creatures? It would be, we're the most reasonable, not yeah, reasonable. I mean, of course, like reason comes from us, from the human species. So so yeah, we define what it is to be reasonable. So yeah, most reasonable, and so uh, from reason, you know, the only way to get to develop that would be, use your reasons, use your reason to do things, create new things, and that's what we do. That's what we do right now. That's what we did all throughout history. Is that we created culture, we created societies, we built cities, we formed nations, countries, and different kinds of people, different kinds of things to do. We have this thing called a job that we go to, that we do this thing called, well, work, where we do something for someone in some building with 1,000 other people, all performing very specific tasks to achieve some sort of goal that would potentially make some people happy and some other people uh, bad. Some other people suffer. See, there's like very very absurd things going on if you actually think about it, and this, of course, have a lot to do with what the existentialists have to say, particularly Camus and his theory of absurdism, and Sartre too. Yeah. Um, but yeah, if you were just take the base kind of thing that makes us human, would be, the fact that we are able to reason, and to be able to perfect that reason, I think, is the job of a philosopher. Well, it's not the job. It's what defines a philosopher, is that you would get down to that fundamental mode of humans, which is to reason, and to use that and to perfect the art of reasoning itself. Yeah, yeah, I think I've never thought of that actually. I just thought about it right now. So yeah, I think what defines a philosopher is this is a person who is actively refining his reasoning. Yes, is a person who are refining their or persons people who refine their reasoning. I think that's what defines a philosopher. Yeah, I think that there's nothing else to be said. Uh, yeah, and from coming from that angle, you start to see how that might be beneficial, or how that's actually beneficial for a lot of the things that we do every day. Is to use some of your time, lend some of your time to perfect the art of what makes us work, which would be our reason, which makes things work. But again, ah, yeah, I'm missing one more thing about what is uniquely human is is a sense of uh aesthetics. Yes, is a sense of aesthetics and morality. Yeah, I think I've talked about that too. But yeah, I suppose okay. Maybe there is something else to be said about philosophers. Um, I guess it's those three things, but attributing aesthetics to philosophers, maybe not very much. I mean, yes, but compared to artists, I don't think it would be comparable. So in a way, like, as in the realm of aesthetics, that would be the job of the artist. Yeah, there's something a lot very mysterious about this kind of classification, this kind of this kind of classification between the arts, kind of our sense of beauty, our sense of reason, and our sense of what's right and wrong. Yeah, the kind of the distinction between those three. I think is a very and such an interesting thing, because one classification, one department is trying to kind of take over the others. It's kind of like they wanna join these other two parts into one that would kind of put them into the category of reason, which is maybe why I kind of fell for, like, oh, it's just reason, whereas as of right now, it's clearly not, since a lot of, I think, like, most philosophers would agree, and I think I would generally agree too, that it is a clear difference. There is a clear difference to be made with reason and emotion. And it's a very, I think it's a very obvious thing for most people that you would kind of have this typical bifurcation when you're arguing for something or talking about something, like, oh, don't use your emotions. Don't you stop using your emotions too much. You need to think more. You need to use more of your reasoning. Or sometimes people would say, like, oh, you're thinking too much. You should want to express yourself. You should want to express your emotions. And so there's that kind of uh divide between those two things. And one more, I think the least talked about department would be the department of aesthetics, that of art. I think, but I think art is, because this part is, like, very much linked and related uh to morality and ethics, but in a way, it's really it's I think it's something else. I think it's something else because it's yeah, it's another sense. It's another sense that we indubitably have that is different enough from the others. I feel like when you look at art, I mean, yes, it does evoke emotion, but yeah, maybe in that sense you can kind of build up a theory to kind of link those two and kind of just make it just one, just morality. But in a way, it's not since I think it's quite a mystery to me how we find things to be beautiful and how you couldn't really pinpoint the sense this sense of beauty and draw parallels or like draw lines to the domain of reasoning and the domain of morality directly. Like there's some other element that's kind of still mysterious to me, at least, and I think for other people too. But it happens for them subconsciously. They don't. For most people, I think they don't really think of it as deeply as I am right now. but but yeah, it's a very curious thing. It's a very curious thing. How there's something else about art, but I don't know what. I can't really put my finger on it. It's huh. I guess you could kind of link it to reason, to biology. The fact that we have the sense of beauty because it stems from our course our ancestors. Uh, Traces back to time that we were monkeys, and even before that, maybe the fact that something is good makes something brings us more dopamine or provides us shelter and the sustenance of life would be perceived as something that's more beautiful. But then we have these weird ass art, like surrealism, and that's just one example. I think you have a lot of other examples, like we can take a lot of stuff from art, like um, Edward Hopper's painting of that gas station. Like, what? What does that have anything to do with being safe? I think more so it kind of evokes this feeling of eeriness, of loneliness, which is then I don't, that goes against that exactly goes against that kind of biology theory, and now it's kind of moved on more to the domain of morality. I think. Yeah. Since like, oh wait, not morality. Like, I guess morality, like emotions. I feel like you feel a certain kind of emotion. What is emotion? Okay, well, let's explore this a bit. I want to kind of explain this a bit. Where does it come from? Like, how does it relate to the domain of morality? Is because these emotions stem from specific emotions stem from our sense of what's right and wrong and how the world should be. I think because if you were to think about okay, these are my values, these are my ideals, they would be inevitably tied to emotions. Like, how would you know that something's right and something's wrong? I mean, like, what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that our moral compass is tied to these reactions, these emotions that that are that manifest in reactions, which come from emotions. Like we feel bad or we feel good about a certain thing because we think that that's how things should be or how it shouldn't be. And so I think it it can be closely related to that domain rather than that kind of biological and reasoning, purely uh, reasoning standpoint. But even then, if you would use the biological aspect of it, um, even then, I think another question would pop up, like, huh, like even the fact that life progressively kind of wants to sustain itself, though it may seem that it's logical to us. Like, why is that? Like, what? Like, life, I think. You know what? I think this I think that kind of you could kind of this would be a sort of regress into into uh into the universe itself, like the totality of the universe. I think, yeah, because like if you were to ask like, okay, um, why is that? Why is life? Well, what's the meaning or what's the reason? See, you're getting it. Of life wanting to sustain itself, or okay, what's the more fundamental question to that would be, why did life emerge? See, why did life emerge? And if you trace it all the way back down, then what is the meaning, or what why did the universe exist or pop up in the first place? That would be kind of the ultimate question, which would be obvious now made obvious would be this things that the existentialists were talking about. So yeah, what would be the implications of that though? Hmm. I guess the implications of that would be you wouldn't be able to talk, you wouldn't be able to argue for art being traced into that kind of biological argument, that kind of biological standpoint. I think that makes that will work now. Now that we've set the facts straight about the nature of that argument. Um, yeah, all right. It's already almost an hour, and I've been ranting. I wouldn't say mindlessly. It's more so the opposite. But in a way, mindlessly and mindfully about philosophy. I think I should end it here, and I hope that future me will be able to, I don't know, kind of look back and be like, oh, well, like I don't know, like it's up to my future self or to the people that are watching this video, uh if not me, to I don't know, gain something or anything. Not sure, but yeah, I should log off now, and that's that from me. See you again in the next entry. Bye bye.